Hey everybody! Welcome to the Viva Connections SharePoint Framework bi-weekly sync on October 17th this year. Wow! And I'm Chris Kent, and let's talk about some stuff. So we're going to go over a bunch of updates across all the stuff we're doing across all sorts of different areas. Then we'll take a picture of your beautiful, beautiful faces, or, Casper's face also. And then we'll do some demos, right? So we've got Nello and Nicole back. That'll be exciting. They're going to do some real-time news in their Intranet with SPFx. And we've got Mattias and Fabian, who also are doing real-time news in SPFx. That's exciting. And then Anoop, quite possibly, will be doing Viva Connections cards. So, wowee! All right, let's get started. So first off, I want to talk about where you can go to find all the stuff we're about to talk about. So if you go to our aka.ms/community/home, you will find all of this stuff where we've got a ton of videos for you. We've got a LinkedIn group. We've got Discord stuff for you. We've got all sorts of open source repositories, anywhere from samples to tools to full-on solutions for you to take a look at and to either reuse or adapt as needed. And then, of course, we've got just a ton of tooling like PNP.js or PowerShell or all the other things you're already using you want to take a look at. In fact, let's talk about those now. Well, and by now, I mean these calls first. So, please join us for these calls. Good job if you're already on this call. You did it. But for everybody else that's watching on YouTube, what are you doing? Well, join the call. Here's the links. So if you go over here, you can find that we've got a call every other Thursday, or not every other Thursday, every Thursday. We also got a call every Tuesday. We've got Power Platform calls. We've got Alpha Sat-ins calls. And of course, all of these are recorded to YouTube where you can watch them on double speed, which is very, very fun and hilarious most of the time. All right. And of course, this is that call right here. So we've got an upcoming call here with Kathy and Aja Baz and Bob, and they're going to be doing some really cool demos for you. So be sure to join us for that. And then if you actually want to be one of the people presenting, please fill this form out. We would love to have you. We would love to walk you through it. First-time presenters are excellent. Second-time presenters, great as well. Right, whether it's a getting started demo, hey, you put together something, maybe it's your first time, or maybe you've been doing this for a long time, either are great because people are coming at this from all sorts of different starting spots, and we would love to see it. So come show it off and show us what you got. We'll be happy to walk you through it. All right, David, you want to talk about this thing?
I do, yes, and we'll be quick. No horsing around, right? So, Sharing is Caring is a program, friends, that will, if you're new, as Chris mentioned, will walk you through how to contribute or how to use some of those resources. It is absolutely safe space, meaning we don't record any of the sessions. It is absolutely free for you to join. It is live, hands-on, and a lot of fun. We start out with, of course, showing you how to use the samples and then also how to contribute via GitHub, so you can navigate those weird terms like fork and raw and blame and pull request, and you'll know what they are. So once you have contributed, we want to recognize you. So keep an eye out at aka.ms/sharingiscaring for that schedule coming up, and then make sure you get signed up for the recognition program. You only need to do this once, opt in, and we'll track the work you're doing in GitHub. We've got all kinds of cool badges. We're moving into Promptober. We're well established into Promptober. Actually, it's the 17th. Hacktoberfest is well established. Refresh Rangers is here. SPFx Toolkit, new badges. Season of Getting is coming up. Slice the Samples will be back. All those fun things. Absolutely free, and we're moving on to Refresh Rangers. And this is absolutely a fun way for us to upgrade and update some things. Adam will talk a little bit more about this. We're going to make this an ongoing initiative. It's not just for October or Hacktober. We'll move it from repo to repo, so that badge will live on and on and on and give you more opportunities to contribute and get involved. All right, Chris, back to you.
All right. And Vesa, back to you.
Thank you. Wowee! Now, quick recap on here. We're growing quite heavily again after a slow summertime, which is great. It's awesome to say that it's a safe bet on building stuff on SPFx. Customers are using more and more of that and building a lot of cool capabilities. Let's go to the following slide. Latest version right now is 120. That was released on 26th of September. There was actually quite a lot of updates, more primarily in the UX level for Viva Connection, but then quite a few different changes within the tooling level, and we're working on even more doing more over there. Now let's go to the following slide. Related on the tooling level and build automation and everything else, we would love to get your input. So what we're looking into doing here is, well, not potentially, we will deprecate eventually gulp tasks. but with a reasonable schedule and time frame. But what we want to do is basically now collect a feedback on what are you using in Coptax, how you're using that, can we help you to transition to Webpack extensions and all of that stuff, and looking around options. But we really need your input. So please fill in the form AKMS SPFx DevTools feedback to let us know your feelings, thoughts, and what kind of extensibility you are using within the tools, especially for Gulp and also for Webpack. So again, we're trying to collect feedback for engineering to understand how ecosystem is building stuff with SPFx on the build tooling automation side. Next slide. Is just a quick recap on where we are from a roadmap perspective. We actually did have a really cool planning session last week internally in Microsoft in Redmond. I flew over as well. So we do have a lot of interesting stuff for 1.21, 121, and 122, and so on. 120 is the latest version, as mentioned. Right now, there's a big focus on card web parts and SharePoint. So our India team is actually working on that one, looking really promising. You're able to surface those Viva Connection cards also in SharePoint in any site, which is really cool. We're also looking into SPFx powered SP hosted apps, full page apps in there, and then the Copilot is in top of mind. There's a lot of stuff being built over there. Let's go to the following slide. Just a quick kind of a teaser on that one. We will be investing here more and more. Not that we're not moving all of the investments in Copilot, that is not the intention, but what we want to do is that if you have built a card in SPFx for Viva Connection or for SharePoint, it can be also exposed as an extensibility in Copilot chat or in ODSP chat. So when the user tries to operate or do something rather than just showing a static or semi-stupid or complicated with the backend with the bot, a adaptive card, you can actually use SPFx in future here to do operations as well. So you don't have to just, try to explain the bot the Copilot what you want to do. You can just fill in the forms and all of that stuff directly with the SPFx. Really cool setup. But that's it from my side. Quick kind of teasers on what's happening. Let's go to the open source projects.
All right. Wowee.
Wowee.
Okay. So let's talk about Copilot prompts, right? So we've got a lovely repo full of prompts you can share here that you're finding helpful in Copilot, or you can come over here and browse some of our community prompts. We also tend to feature one. So here we've got one from Arcy. Arcy's got one here to help her generate HTML and .NET Core MVC, where she's doing some really cool stuff with some options and auto-assigning classes based on the names. So again, it's a great use case just to get it to generate some stuff. If you're doing something like this, you might be surprised how helpful that is to share with others, right? So sometimes people look at like Copilot, the chat, or these other things, and it's like a blank canvas. So it can be really helpful to start with a prompt someone else has written, see some really cool techniques there, and find out some cool stuff you've done, and share that back. Wow! All right, so now let's head on over here. I don't think Bo is on here, really? No. All right. Well, let's talk about PPJS. Oh, it is sad. All right. Yeah, so version 4.6.0 was just released, like 3 days ago? So it's just documentation package version, but please sure to check that out. And version 3 support. If you are still on version 3, please upgrade to version 4. It will be worth it. It is not a major breaking changes or anything on there. There's a couple of things you have to do, but there is guidance on the PPJS documentation site, which is linked down there. And you can also find that, of course, on our main PNP site to get the PPJS, and then you'll get there that way. So, woo-hoo. All right. And, of course, let's talk about the CLI for Microsoft 365 as well. Right, so there are apparently 31 breaking changes. That's exciting. But usually if there's breaking changes, that also means that there are exciting things coming. I have no idea what those are, so I will let you read those notes, and I'll stop talking about it. Moving on to the next one. All right, and that is Dev Proxy. So the Dev Proxy, if you haven't used this yet, is a great way to be able to test stuff against your APIs, right? So like Graph and everything else, and get full on support for error handling and timeouts and everything else. All the stuff you're probably going to experience in the real world at the worst possible times. So maybe try and experience it ahead of time and see how your code reacts. And that's what this is for. Woo-hoo! So you don't get those horrible, horrible calls when you're at your son's baseball game. I made that up. I don't have baseball games. Okay. All right. And now let's talk about usable SPFx controls. So if you are using SPFx at all, if you're just getting started, you definitely want to use these, right? So there's two sets of them, right? There's the React controls. So if you're using React, this is a great way to use these. Ton of controls directly for on the page. All sorts of interesting things like people pickers, site pickers, and so on. to really make that easy to use and make those look like the standard out-of-the-box web parts. But then there's also a really cool project, which is the property controls, where you do not have to be using React for these. And you'll want to take a little advantage of these because this is what makes your editing pane so much more valuable, right? Where you can go beyond just a text box and so on. You can see some of those right there. So again, if you are using SPFx, look into these. You're going to save a ton of time, and then you can focus on the stuff that actually matters, like going to lunch early. All right, Adam, you around?
Yeah, I'm around. So hi, everybody. We just had a new pre-release of SharePoint Framework Toolkit, the v4.1.3. And based on this pre-release, we're going to have a new minor release in the upcoming weekend. So it seems to be quite stable. And this pre-release brought really awesome features. And two of them are developed by our regular contributors now, Sarbak and Guido. Thank you very much. And you both really rock. So the first contribution added more management capabilities. Now, directly from the VS Code extension, you see every SPFx app installed on your every app catalog, and you can retract them, remove them, enable, disable, and we're going to add more actions that you can do for each SPFx package deployed on each app catalog. We added a new customization that allows you to add your Node version manager configuration file during scaffolding of your project. And we also made our GitHub Copilot child participant a lot smarter. So now the setup and the new command will be a lot more helpful. The new command actually gives you a new opportunity to create your project by chatting with GitHub Copilot using the @SPFx. So you'll be actually chatting with SPFx Toolkit in GitHub Copilot chat. And it will guide you through the process, what is needed to create a new SPFx project. You can just type without any knowledge, like, hey man, I want to customize my form. I don't know anything about it, just guide me through it. And we will ask you all the questions, what's the solution name, what the component do you want to use, React, and so on and so forth. Then we'll give you a command. And when you will click on OK, run it, it will create this project and open up VS Code directly in this new project. So everything for you just by chatting, and setup is also a lot smarter, but I will let you discover it on your own. Okay, be sure to give it a try if you're doing any kind of SPFx development, and happy coding, everybody. Back to you, Chris.
Wow, I think that thing has a couple of features. I could be wrong, you know. All right, and I will tell you, if you haven't installed it yet, check it out, because you will be amazed how many things are exposed in there that you probably didn't even know you could do, and it's awesome. Okay, so Casper, you want to talk about some of the search stuff?
No, not really.
Not
really. Okay. We've been having fun the last couple of weeks working on better support for local languages. So if you have, for instance, some of your search results are returned and you have a preference for, you might be in Germany, so you want to see it in German, but we also have all of our tags from the term store. We have those translated into various languages. So that's why we've been looking into this localization and making sure that when we surface our search results, that they are in the proper language. So that's something we're working on the last couple of weeks, and we really plan to release them within a couple of weeks. So look forward to that. And in the meantime, have fun with the search web parts. And remember that we are monitoring the repository for questions and suggestions all the time. So just hit us up and let us know what's working, what's not working for you. Back to you, Chris.
All right. Let's see, David, you want to talk about some samples?
I do, yes, but not a whole lot, because Hugo and Adam have been processing all of those refresh ones, so they will be here in the next couple weeks. Hugo's traveling today for the New England event, and he wanted to let everybody know he's appreciative. Thank you all for what you're doing. He's processed them, and he wanted to be here personally to thank you, so he's going to save that for when he's back. So keep on plugging those samples in, refreshing everything, and we'll move it on over to Anoop.
Yes, thank you, David. So the PNP SPFx ACES repository, so do check that out, aka.ms/SPFx-ACES. So we have a new sample called as Office Locator, which was contributed by Ijaz. So you can add this ACE, and then this uses HTML and React in order to display the maps of the various locations of the offices that can be configured from the properties of the ACE. And then we have got a couple of updates. The files by content type is, so that's the one which shows the pie chart right there at the bottom. So Emery has updated that. And then we've got the React HTML FAQs. So I updated that recently as well because I'll be doing a demo of that later today. Back to you, Chris.
Woohoo! All right, everybody, turn your cameras on. It's time to look pretty. Vesa, you got this?
I think we were both ready to go with me and David, but I'm just gonna take it. So both are like, yeah, me. Mine. That's a Pixar thing, isn't it? Which movie? Which is the mine?
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Oh yes, that is true. Cool. We do have 50 seats in a room, so let's wait for a while. We do have more than 130 people out. There's Chris in the front row. We can recognize him from the wowee reaction. So let's wait a few more seconds and then we'll start recording. We are pixel perfect today. This is looking really, really cool. A few more seconds. What are you, Chris, doing? Just asking. Okay, cool. Let's actually start the recording and let's do some hand waving, everybody, or whatever you want to do within this. We'll grab a GIF animation out of this and share it in social media. Thank you for joining. Really cool to have you on a call. Casper is frozen. No, not frozen. Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Really, really cool. Let's get back on the scheduled agenda. We'll share that one in a GitHub, in social media as a gift. So, as a gift.
As a gift.
Right, Chris?
Ooh.
It's both.
It's a gift for everybody.
Merry Christmas. No. All right. Here
Quite a few marks on the picture. I'm just saying.
All right. So first up, we got Nello and Nicole. They're back here. And they're going to talk about building a real-world intranet with this SPFx stuff. If you guys are ready, go ahead and take on over. It's all yours.
Thank you. So, hi, my name is Nicole, and I work in corporate communications. I'm responsible for our intranet, and I'm also the product owner for the development of our intranet solution.
Hi, my name is Nello D'Andrea. Call me Nello. I'm a SharePoint developer working since 15 years in the SharePoint field. Back to you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nello. So we work for La Mobilière, the oldest insurance company in Switzerland with 6,400 employees and 80 general agencies. We insure every third household and every third company in Switzerland. In our IT department, some 600 specialists ensure the smooth running of our systems and modernize our core IT systems. We also developed our intranet internally with our team 2 years ago. The favorite solution of our CorpCom we will show you today, the real-time news. We had following challenge. How can we, as corporate communications, make sure our employees stay updated on important company news, especially in a large multilingual organization like ours here in Switzerland? We had 3 main objectives. Firstly, our colleagues can pick and choose the topics and languages they want to see on the Intranet homepage. Second, our publishing team can quickly create news in different languages and decide which news goes where. Important news can be pinned to the top. Last but not least, news should only be shown on the homepage in the same language as the rest of the content. We are happy with the great solution that Nello has implemented for us. He is now showing us how it works, how to use it, and how he has developed it. Next up, Mattu and Fabu will show you how to deploy this solution. Enjoy the session. Nello?
Thank you, Nicole, for your kind words. As a developer, implementing solution is just one part. You need good idea, clear requirements, and an awesome product owner like Nicole to guide you. It's the same when bringing solution into your organization. You will hear it afterwards. You need a strong SPO and Azure engineering team to succeed. That's all about having a team, a great team. Now let's talk about our implementation. The original concept is from this SPFx webpart repo. It was built by Frank Cornu, and I think the great Vesa did also contribute to this solution. I may remember a blog post which guided me at the beginning. So if you need news with a customizable feed where you can tweak the UI or need near real-time updates. You can start with our solution or use it as it is. Our solution built on these IDs and adds more than feature like full multilingual support, news channel and user-based channel subscription, a very nice looking UI. And you can even publish sticky news. I will show that afterwards, and which are shown prominently on the feed. So let's have a quick look at the workflow. First, we have a publisher. The publisher create a news page or update a news page with metadata like channels, if it's a sticky news, and publishing dates, for example. Then we have a logic app which picks up changes. It checks if the news was already published or if it's a new news, and it does two things. The first one, it writes on a custom list, which will be displayed on the start page. And the second one, it writes on a message to the Azure Service Bus Queue. The Service Bus Queue is just a bus. It's a data layer connecting the Logic app to the web app, and it forwards the message to the web app. The web app listens to the service bus and gets notified instantly. It also works as a socket server, which enables a connection to the SPFx web part, which is on the start page, for example, of your intranet. That's how we have configured it on our intranet. And it gets the event. It gets the events and forward it to the SPFx web part. When the web app sends a message, the SPFx web part reacts in two ways. There is an attended mode. A user gets a visual hint and must interact with the feed to see what's new. It also shows how many unread news do you have. And then you have the unattended mode. This is where the web app, the web part just updates the news feed quietly in the background. And this is the tricky part. I will show it afterwards. So now I will share my screen. And I hope you see it. Yes, great. Do you see my screen? Great, fantastic. So we have the web part, which is implemented here, installed on this page. And you can see here, this is sticky news. So a sticky news is a news which is shown prominently on the start page. And then we have here channel selection, where the user can select. He can have as much channels as he wants, and he can also here manage his channel. So just to list for this one. So if I want to look at, for example, a news, there is the title here and also the language, because it's multilingual, and the header, which is taken all from this list, and also the image and various additional fields. And then we have the second list, which is quite easy. We have the subscriber, the user, and also the channel which the user has subscribed. So it's everything what this web part needs to function. So I've prepared the news here, and I will just do an update and then go on the start page. And I just need to trigger the Logic app. You won't see it because I'm on another machine, but we should here have so the whole workflow has been done now, from publishing to writing to the service bus to the web app, coming to this web part within a couple of seconds. And the user here, this is the attended mode, so he can update the page. And then you see here the news, which I did push before, is now on the feed. So now I will just go to the code and show you why the unattended mode is quite tricky. So a year ago, I did get a call from one of our publishers who told me that every time that she publishes a news, the whole SharePoint service went down. At the beginning, I didn't believe it, and then she insisted. We scheduled a call, and she could really demo this feature. Every time she did publish a news, the whole SharePoint tenant went down. And it was clear that our workflow worked so well that our 5,000 to 10,000 user connected did receive within a couple of milliseconds the request to read the list, and reading the same list 5,000 times within a couple of milliseconds did produce this behavior. So we have added this little method which distribute the load across 30 seconds. And we have a couple of different parameters, and it just here connect to the client and to the Azure service bus, and if it receives an event, then it forwards the event to the SPFx web part as it is, and the SPFx web part to the heavy lifting. And so 1 year before we went live, I had a little voice in my head who told me, yeah, are you sure it will work in production? How do you set all these parameters here? What kind of ping interval, ping timeout is okay? What kind of web app do you need? Do you need a little offering, or maybe some premium offering? And I did a little bit of research and find out that there is a great framework to load test, which is called Artillery. And we have included here in a sample, which are available on GitHub. In the development, you can, there is a README which explains everything, but I will just showcase how a run does work. So the Artillery uses a YAML file, and it takes the socket endpoint from the environment, as we have defined it here. The duration, you can define various phases. The duration of this phase is 1,200 seconds. It's 20 minutes. It has a arrival rate of 10 clients per second, which means 600 clients per minute, and it will ramp linearly to 20 clients, so it's 1,200 clients. Then you can define also the same parameter or different parameter if you want to test your backend server, and it will also keep the connection for 10 minutes. So every client keep connected to the server for 10 minutes. So I just need to set the variable here, and we'll copy that in my command shell, and then it's just easy as that. I can run the test here, and now I will just make my screen a little bit smaller and go to my backend server so you can see how these behave in the. So I've started. I'm here on my log stream here. I've started my backend server, and I'm showing here on the right part the log stream of my backend server, and here I'm starting now my test. And then you will see that the console log are going to appear on the right side. So it's starting to connect, and it's connecting 600 clients per. Can make this a little bit smaller here, so we have a better view of that. So it's already here connected 200 clients. And you see here that we have, it's a bit big, so we have 100 user created and we have no error. So I'm testing against P1 V2 SKU So it means it's quite, it's our production, it's not our production backend, but it's the same configuration as we have in production. So we can handle 10 to 15,000 connection with this setup, and we have no problem with performance on this one. So we have no error with this setup. It works perfectly. So I'm done with the demo. Thank you very much for your attention. Back to you.
Excellent. Thank you both very, very much. Greatly appreciate it. A lot of really cool stuff here. I think you probably answered it based on the way the demo goes, but we had a question in here. I just wanted to see what was the, if you could quickly give like a 2-sentence reason for why would you do a custom web part and not do something like, the standard out of the box or a PNP search web part?
Yes, so also it's a SPFx React web part which connects to the backend server, and we needed full control of the publishing and the custom rendering of the news. So if we want to publish a news, it should appear because of financial regulation, it should appear within a minute. And if you want to unpublish a news, so we can terminate, for example, we can put a publish to date in the, in the past, and then it will disappear automatically from the feed. So that's some regulation which we have. We want to control the news feed completely, and we do not want to rely on search because there is some, you can't control it. So yeah, that's it.
Makes complete sense, and I'd say those other offerings make sense where they make sense sometimes, right? Depends on your use case, and for your use case, this is a fantastic solution. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll go ahead and jump over. Let's see who we got next. Let's see, Mattias Fabian, are you ready? You can go ahead and take over if you are. There we go.
I am ready. Let me just check one more time whether my camera is on. It is on. Great. So, okay. My name is Mattias Bürgi. I'm a DevOps engineer at La Mobilière.
Hello, my name is Fabian Hutzli, and I'm also a DevOps engineer at La Mobilière.
So we talked already 2 weeks ago about automating our build and deploy process with our Pontobello installer to standardize and streamline our deployments. The installer that we built is basically a Docker image containing all required tools and scripts to build and deploy SPFx solution. And so far, this actually worked great, and we had everything covered, and we were happily deploying away until Nello implemented the real-time news solution. So this solution now heavily depends on Azure resources for publishing and depublishing news, as well as for alerting users about new news articles. So, and our installer was lacking again. Thank you, Nello. We had to think about a way to include Azure resource deployment into this installer, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So, we needed infrastructure as code tool for the deployment of the Azure resources. We decided to use Terraform, but biceps could also be implemented in the same fashion, I think. But just creating Azure resources is obviously not enough. We need something to tie all the different steps together. After provisioning SharePoint sites and lists, those site URLs, list IDs, and so on, they must be referenced in the logic app that we deploy. And then after deployment of the resources, for example, the URL of the socket web app, which is only known after provisioning, then is required for the build of the SPFx web part. So to orchestrate the complete deployment, we decided to use the Azure Developer CLI. As the name hints at, this is a command line interface tool for developers to manage Azure resources and services from the command prompt. It allows us to provision Azure resources, deploy the web app, and run all pre- and post-requisite scripts. So let's have a look how this looks in code. And afterwards, Fabian will show in a live demo how that really looks. Let me switch to the code. So I have the real-time news repository open. So we still have the installer mapped as a Git submodule into a .dev container folder. it contains basically, as I said, as a Docker file with all the required tools, as well as our scripts that we use to build and deploy the various artifacts. So that is the same as we had it also in the past, but now we also have this azure.yaml file, which is basically the control center for the Azure Developer CLI. There are basically 3 sections in here. We can configure hooks, so scripts that are being run before or after certain Azure Developer CLI tasks. In our case, we only use ACD up, so the up command. So we have a pre-up and a post-up hook defined, which will run, as indicated before or after this up command. Then we define the infrastructure provider, in our case Terraform, could also be Biceps. And then we define also the services, which then need to be deployed after the infrastructure is created. So let's have a look what happens in those hooks. So in the pre-up script, first of all, what we do is we invoke the deploy sites and list script from our Pontobello installer. And this script then creates all the required sites and lists. So this is all configured in this SPO folder. We have the solution JSON where we actually define the sites which need to be created, the solutions that need to be deployed to the sites, different PNP templates that are applied to the site. So we have multiple sites in here. And then we have also a term store section where we define all the term groups and term sets that need to be created in order for the solution to work. So this script processes the solution JSON and creates all those SharePoint sites and lists and so on. And then all we do is actually define variables for the Azure Developer CLI. So the list that we created, the URL of the news page, and so on. And that's actually all that happens here. After the pre-up script has run, the infrastructure is being deployed. So here we have the Terraform code. Maybe have a quick look at the TFOR file. This is the definition for the Terraform variables. So what happens here is that all the variables that we exported in the Azure Developer CLI are now handed over to Terraform, where they're being used to create the resources with the correct parameters and names and so on. Maybe one special case is for the logic app. So for every news page that we create, we need a separate logic app, and therefore we have a small for each construct that actually loops through all the different sites defined in the solution JSON and creates as many logic apps as you need. After all the resources are created, as said before, Azure Developer CLI then deploys the app service. So we reference the project from Nello here, and then that is automatically deployed. And it's time for the post-up script, which again reads some variables. So we need now to know the socket URL, for example, for the build of the web part. That is again exported as a variable to the Azure Developer CLI. And then we just trigger our build script, and afterwards the deploy script. So the solution is being built and it's being deployed to the tenant app catalog and also to the sites where it is needed. That's actually all the magic. Now I hand over to Fabian for the fun part to see how that really works in real time.
Thank you, Matthias. So due to limited time and also because the demo is always unpredictable, I recorded a video. I show you now shortly the solution JSON. We saw that from Matthias, so that's not something new here. We have 3 sites. We have site templates that will be applied to the site, and we have a term set as well. To start the installation, I used the dev container, which is part of the Pontobello installer, and we start the dev container using the integration of VS Code. So we are starting now the dev container, And for authentication to SharePoint, we use the login selector of our Puntobello installer. For the real-time news, we need some extra resources in Azure, as Mattias already mentioned. So we have to make sure that we are also authenticated to Azure as well. In this demo, I used the same login parameters from the Puntobello installer. You see it here in the script above, and made sure that I have the appropriate rights to Azure. After authentication, I need to create a new environment for Azure Developer CLI. I use the acd-env new command. I call the environment the same name like my tenant for this demo. And right after I created the new environment, we can start the installation process with acd up, and this will have a look to the azure.yaml file and runs all the tasks that Mattias already mentioned. First, it runs the pre-app script, which is based on the script in Puntobello install, which deployed the sites and lists. And I now let the installation run so we can see the output here. The process naturally takes a little bit longer, but I have to speed up for this video. So we see that we are now create new sites and apply the site templates to the sites. And that's the magic of the pre-app script. And after the pre-app task, the actual deployment of the Azure resources in the web app and the web app begins. Since I have only created a new environment name, we still need to choose the target subscription and the target location for the resources. This could also initially set as parameters with the acd-env command. But I used the selector for this demo here. Then the infra deployment with Terraform will be started. At the beginning, we see that the providers are initialized, and then it checks what needs to be made. As Terraform is a declarative approach, and the definition is compared with the target system, so we don't have any resources yet. And so the outputs you see is that we need 10 resources to be added. Then it starts the deployment of the resources to Azure. And then in the output again, we see that the 10 resources are applied to our Azure tenant. And we see also the app name and the resource group that is created. And we need this value to install the web app code to the web app resource. And after this deployment of the web app is completed, it will then start the post-up task. Here we see the following environment variables. We need these parameters for the web part. So this allows us to connect the web parts to the socket app, to the relevant lists, and the term set for the news channel. And after that, our build and deploy script for the web part is started. This in turn is the standard script of our Puntobello installer. And then adding the web part to the app catalog completes this installation. And then we have a look at the environment variables again of the Azure Developer CLI. So we open up the .azure folder, which stores my environment variables of my environment, as you see here. And now we check if the sites are created as we expect. And we see that we are having a home site, the news English and the news German site. And when I open up the home site, we can see the web part. Yeah, I already prepared that in advance, so we don't have to waste any time here. And we see that we also have 2 news channels as well. Then we have a look at the provisioned Azure resources. We see a logic app here, or multiple logic apps here, and the associated API connection for SharePoint. We still need to provide an account here for this API connection, and we have to make sure that this account that we use for this connection have the appropriate right to write to the SharePoint site and to the list. Okay, and then to test the entire installation, I created a new news item. on one of our news sites that we created a couple of moments ago. For this, I create the short text and the header image, as you've seen here. Header image is coming. And then I have also set the news channel and published from date, which then set the publish date of this news post. Then I go back to the home site after I posted the news. Wait a couple of seconds for the banner that should appear now. And when I refresh the page, then we see the news page that I created a couple of seconds ago. And when I click on the news, I go to the news article. That's it. That's the demo. That's the integration of Puntabello installer in Azure Developer CLI. So, yeah, on the screen you find links to our blog post, GitHub repos, and our LinkedIn profiles. If you like to stay in touch with us, these are the best ways to reach us. The last slide, please. I'm not sharing the slides. Okay. Thank you all. We truly appreciate the opportunity to share our work. And if you have any question, reach us at the links that we post.
All right. Well, thank you both very, very much. Greatly appreciated. We're going to go ahead and turn it over to Anoop for time here. So, Anoop, if you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Okay. So today we'll be looking at one of the Viva Connections card that was created recently, which is called React HTML FAQs. So let's go through this slide deck and understand what it is. Start with the boring slide first. My name is Anoop. I'm an MVP, work as a developer in a company called Advania. Those are the links to my social profiles. You can follow me on those platforms if needed. Right, let's have a look at the demo first on this Viva Connection card. And after the demo, we can have a look at the code. So here I am in my dev tenant on the Viva Connections dashboard page. As you can see, it has got only one card, and that card is the FAQs card. And what this does is, it's got this button, See FAQs, and you guessed it right. When you click on that, it'll go ahead and show the different FAQs. And then this is a nice accordion, which is rendered using React. And then the other thing it does is, if I go ahead and change the theme, see, pick the orange color and save that. You can see that the card updates automatically, and even all the other components within the card get updated. And now if I go into the edit mode, then edit the card itself, all it has got is a few properties, the title of the card, and you can have a different image over here. And then one of these PNP SPFx reusable property controls to manage the frequently asked questions. So I've got some questions over here. Let's go and add a new question. Copy that, paste that. I think we all know the answer, but I asked ChatGPT to give me a funny answer. And we have the answer in Markdown format. So I'll just go ahead and save that and then republish that. And when I click on that, you can see that the question and the answer appears here with some Markdown formatting. So yeah, that's the card itself, a simple card which shows the frequently asked questions that can be configured from the properties of the ACE. Right, now let's have a look at the code. or before having a look at the code, let's understand how it was done. So the Viva Connections cards, they are made up of a couple of things. One is the card view. So here you are seeing an example animation of one of the cards that was created. So this particular view, the small one, is the card view. And then when we click on view details, what we see is the quick view. And that quick view, until now, we could use only adaptive cards to create those quick views. However, with the introduction of SharePoint Framework 1.20, we now have an option to use HTML instead of adaptive cards in that quick view. And that's what we saw earlier in the demo. So the quick view can now use plain HTML or any other frameworks like React as well. And we are using React in this particular Viva Connections card that we saw earlier. So let's have a look at the code. So all this code is shared in GitHub, and we'll be posting the link to the code in the chat soon. So what I have done here is, open the code in VS Code, and then we'll be showing the different elements. So firstly, the main file, the adaptive card extension.ts. It has got a few properties. So the title, main image, FAQs, and another property to expand the card. So basically, title maps to that, and then the image maps to that, and then FAQs, map to that. And then when we click on FAQs, we saw that it opens the PNP reusable control, and then the FAQ type itself is just a simple type with a question and an answer. And then we've got a state defined for the theme, because if we change the theme, then we want the theme to be applied to the card and its components as well. And then within the card itself, what we do initially is use the theme provider to go ahead and get the theme. And then we also register the handle theme changed event. This is optional, but if you want, you can do that based on the requirement. And then in the card itself, we've got the card view and the quick view. We register those in the ACE. This is all standard. In every adaptive card extension, we do this. So this is all out of the box code. And then if we have a look at the card view, so that's the one which gets rendered on the dashboard. So you can see that we go ahead and get the theme from the state, and then from the theme, we extract the primary color and the other colors as well. And what we do is on the card view, we go ahead and show the title, the image, and the image with a different color based on the theme. And then finally, we've got a button there which is called See FAQs. When we click on that, we open the quick view, and that's what this code does. Now let's have a look at the quick view itself. So it is in the quickview.ts file. Now this one, as you can see over here, earlier it was in SPFx 1.9, and before we couldn't use the base web quick view. So this is the new type that is introduced in SPFx 1.20. So just to show, before that we had to use base adaptive card quick view, but now we can use the web view, which will help us render HTML in the quick view. And then in this quick view, we'll have a render method. And in this render method, like we render React in other SPFx components, say like web parts, we do the same here as well. We go ahead and use React to create an element, and then we render the component that is needed. So in this case, the component is FAQ accordion. Now, if we have a look at that component, FAQ accordion, it's a very simple component. It's a functional component which accepts some properties. So those properties are the frequently asked questions itself, and then the theme and the allow multiple expanded. So if we have a look at the FAQs, this is the JSON that we get back from the properties of the ACE. So just a simple JSON array with questions and answers. And then what we do is for each of for each of the answers that we get, we use this library called as remarkable. What that does is converts, takes that markdown format and converts it into HTML so that it can be rendered nicely. And then in the render method of this component, what we have is a third-party accordion component. And then what this does is renders the accordion with the question and the answer. So you can see that we are using, again, we're just sanitizing the answer over here. So in case someone passes a script within the answer, we don't want that script to run. So that's what this DOM Purify library does. And then finally, if we have a look at the header, all we are doing here is, rendering the header along with the chevron towards the right. So that chevron can be any image. In this case, we are just using a nice icon, which turns 180 degrees when you click on it. Okay. And then for the styles itself, what we are doing is we are using a library called as type style, which we'll look at in a minute. So those come from a hook called as use theme styles. So we can use SCSS as an, that's what we use in all the web parts, but this is another approach. It's called SPFx, CSS in JS. So all the styles are defined in JavaScript, but this is just an option. So like I said, we are using this type style library. And then what we are doing here is we've got a method called as create accordion styles, to which we pass the theme that we would have got. And then we use that theme, in the different classes. So you can see that we're using a theme lighter variable for the border bottom over here. And then if you want to learn more about this particular approach, you can read a blog from Sergey Sergeyev on using CSS in JS approach for SPFx. So in summary, the QuickView before SPFx 1.20, could be developed using only adaptive cards, but from SPFx 1.20 onwards, HTML is one of the options to render QuickViews. That HTML can be plain HTML or frameworks like React. So we looked at a sample which showed how we can render FAQs using the React accordion component. So here are some resources that were used for this demo. Do take a look at the sample and the blog post as well, and let me know if you have any questions. Back to you, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anoop. Really appreciate it. I think it was very well received. Let's jump back over here to the slides and we'll wrap it up. All right. So if you enjoyed this call, or if you've got ideas about how we could improve the calls, or you just want to compliment my amazing voice, you can do that here. You can go to the aka.ms/community/calls/feedback, and we look forward to hearing from you. We do read those, and we do implement those on occasion. So, wow. All right. And of course, you can also talk to us directly or reach out to other people. There are 2,300 plus people in our official Discord server, where you can find all the latest blog posts, and you find discussions about all sorts of things here. If you want to reach out to somebody here and continue the conversations you've been having in the chat here on this call, you can do that. That's a great spot to do that all the time. And then, of course, I want to thank you very much for joining us. And this call will be recorded to YouTube within 24 hours, so please be sure to check it out. And then join us for our next Viva Connections.SPFx call on Halloween. Ooh, spooky. And that's it. Wow. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Wowee.
Wow. I'll try it backwards.
Wowee.
Owie? Is that backwards? No.
Oh, wow.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Yeah.